on the 13th of June, there would be a new post by Jace, known as Shermies, on the Tower Defense Simulator Discord about this. This was released, I'd say, a couple of minutes actually, just before the skill tree rework. So I had not actually talked about this, and it took a while for me to actually make a video on this. So this here, we see what appears to be a feminine model, and this one the same, except this one has white hair and a white outfit, whereas this is a, well, white outfit with a greenish vest. Now, a lot of people, including Menton, as you saw, have assumed that this is a medic teaser, and in fact, there's probably a good enough credence on the design of this to assume that this is a medic rework. Now, the reason for this is because Shermies is a fairly well-known model maker in Tower Defense Simulator, especially when it comes to towers. I believe they've also made the Engineer Tower and the Freezer rework. They've also made a couple of skins for the game, as you can see here. You got, I think that's one of the Commander skins. I forgot which Commander skin actually is, but they also made, interestingly, the recent Fallen Hacker skin with animations by Capra Kinetics. Interestingly, fun fact, the concept design was made by this person here, so that's part of Tower Defense Simulator's art department, but as part of the Tower Defense Simulator's modelling department, Jace made the model for the Fallen Hacker. Interestingly enough, for the Fallen Hacker, the wings are actually attached to the back of the model, whereas in the game, the wings are slightly further back than the actual back, so it looks like they're floating, so it does seem like there is actually a glitch, and the halo and the crown is also on top of the Fallen Hacker, whereas in the game it is way above the head of the Fallen Hacker, more like a halo rather than a hat thing that you wear. Now, the reason why we can fairly confidently say that this is going to be a medic remodel is because that one of the developers, in response to someone asking about the medic, has said that it is confirmed, or well, it's coming soon-ish. And by soon-ish, I mean within the next 3, 4, 5 years. In terms of a lifetime, it's only 5% of your lifetime. It's fine, you can wait for that for a medic rework, right? More evidence of the fact that this is a medic remodel is the fact that if you look at the hair of the medic, yes, it's from Roblox and it wasn't specifically made for Tower Defense Simulator. However, with the new hair for the medic, or well, new hair for the supposed medic, you can see it's very similar. You can see the bangs to the side, you can see the long hair up into what appears to be like a ponytail-ish. Here, it's quite similar. You got the two bangs to the side, but then you also got stuff that's coming up here to a ponytail, similar to here, except this one's probably more clean. And then if you upgrade the medic all the way to max, you can see it gets white hair. It is not the exact same hair as the same as level 0. However, you'll notice that the teaser does come with a model with white hair. Now, it could be the case where this is going to be a complete overhaul of the max level medic. In fact, that's what I suspect has happened. Shermies has posted the level 0 medic and then posted the level 5 medic. Or at least what's planned to be. Things could change, but you can see that the hairs here are actually slightly different. Here it's more like closer to the head, whereas here it actually gets more projected outside. But interestingly, here, at least from what we can see from the crop and the arms, that there's not going to be a angelic max level anymore, which we can kind of see with like the stranded max level medic. It's been speculated that the max level stranded medic would not follow the old design, it would follow the new design that the developers have planned. Here you can very clearly see it's not very angelic. It does have wings though. Same for the masquerade medic. Doesn't have wings, doesn't look like an angel. The fallen skin is probably the closest to looking like an angel, but it does still follow the same model lineage as from level 0 all the way to level 4, whereas for the default skin you go from level 0 to level 4 and then dramatic change for level 5. It's like a minigunner change back in the day, which it kind of is because the medic tower has not changed since 2019 when it was first added to Tower Defense Simulator. I mean, yeah, there's been some changes, like the fact that the arms and the face, they've changed skin tones. However, you can even notice here, it used to just be all yellow, and you can see from the torso of the medic that the colour is still there, meaning that the medic is still one of the only towers to technically use yellow skin. I mean, I feel like this is more of an error on the developer's behalf rather than anything else. That being said though, this isn't the first time that a medic model has been leaked or teased to us. So, back in the day, back on the 18th of September 2020, someone, I assume this isn't Below Natural, I don't think. Actually, I do think it's Below Natural, because I do definitely remember this being from Below Natural. Anyways, here he said, concerning the new medic default skin, there'll be a classic angel medic skin, maybe an angel skin series. This implied that the angel aesthetic that the medic gets at last level would be removed and replaced by something more appropriate for the level lineage. Now, obviously, this being back all the way back in 2020, it does kind of mean that the things that Below Natural had planned here probably won't make it into the main game. I mean, for God's sake, look at the Archer, right? It used to have an ability, or it was planned to have an ability, where if you change the skin of the Archer, it would change the type of arrows that it shot out. Obviously, but then actually realizing how stupid that is, having some skins that change the statistic of the tower being an event tower is probably not a good idea. Although we did have to wait 4 years for the abilities for the Archer to actually change, and actually that would be because of the Trapper Tower with its multi-ability selection. Actually, it's the Merchant Base, because the Merchant Base was the first time that that was added. And you'll notice I mentioned previous Medic Rework teasers. Yes, because this isn't the first time that a teaser has been made for the Medic. I mean, to be fair, the Medic has had a history of unreleased stuff. So, for example, here, you can see an unreleased skin for the Medic. However, what we're concerned about is the other skins that were teased back in 2020. So firstly, you have this, and very clearly, you can clearly distinguish the fact that it has a very special weapon. Some sort of ray gun. Also, this outfit that the Medic has is actually very similar to the Cybermedic back in the day. So actually, this may not be a default skin leak, it may be a Cybermedic leak. However, that being said, if we were to go to here, we can confirm that this is a default skin leak, because, I mean, we don't really see it elsewhere, and also the hair here is actually custom to what we see in the game. But here, very clearly, you can see a ray gun rather than a pistol or syringe gun that the default Medic uses, and we can see the red accented stuff and the red highlighted stuff. This was planned to be the Medic rework, and in fact, for like the last 4 years, this is what people have assumed is going to be the Medic rework. However, I don't think that's the case anymore. Certainly with these leaks, we know that this hair isn't going to be used for the Medic rework, at least for the base level. I also assume that the developers wouldn't want to use this model entirely anyway. The reasons for this is because this model is outdated. It is from 2020. The game's art direction has changed since then. As I said previously, Shermies has worked on towers in the past that have had different leaks. So for example, the Engineer Tower used to look slightly different to the version that we see nowadays. Although that being said, the only leak for the Engineer Tower would be from that trailer. I mean, there were some illegal leaks floating around, which I can't talk about because Below Natural would kill me. However, that being said, Shermies did make the release version of the Engineer, although I'm not sure if he made the original version of the Engineer, which I'm going to consider lost media, otherwise Below Natural would kill me. Interestingly enough though, that's not the only leak of the reworked Medic. So here we can see what appears to be, well, a sort of Fallen King-ish rework. But then you can also see here a Medic skin. Now, given the fact that this was made in 2021, it's kind of anticipated that this here would have been the last level, or at least the max level, of the reworked Medic. As you can see here, it's not exactly an angel, but it does have wings and a halo, a red halo, which is very similar to the other leak that we got for the skin. Here, the red halo and the red accented stuff. The thing here that's missing is the wings. So likely, this isn't the max level. This is probably going to be level 4 or planned to be level 3. Also, I would like to point out that even with the reworked Medic, it did have a red cross here. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but this is a Geneva Convention violation. Video games aren't allowed to use the Red Cross because the protector of the Red Cross, the International Red Cross, they don't allow for it because it's taking away from the message that the Red Cross is meant to be a safe haven for those in conflict or in war. However, I would suspect that with Shermies now taking the reign of the Medic rework or remodel, there's not going to be a Geneva Convention violation in Tower Defense Simulator anymore. And given the fact that the Field Medic doesn't have this, it's just a green cross, I would also have to assume that if the Medic were to have a cross, it would be white or green. Now, interestingly, the Medic's ray gun, or the reworked Medic ray gun, would be seen here. This is the inventory part, or the weaponry part, of the lobby back when the Solar Eclipse update was first released. Here, it's notable that the Medic's ray gun is alongside other unreleased weapons. So here you can see the Honey Badger, this is for the unreleased as of right now, Kingpin Tower for the Crook Boss. Additionally, you can't see it here, but out of frame over here, there would be the Juggernaut minigun, which would not be released as well, because the Juggernaut Tower is an evolved tower, similar to the Kingpin Tower for the minigunner, that's not been released yet. But again, this gives further credence that the Medic was meant to have this weapon here. That being said, with Shermies taking over the Medic remodel, not entirely sure if the Medic will have the same ray gun here. It could be the case where the Medic is completely reworked from what it's seen here. That being said, I think for nostalgia's sake, I think the developers may interpret the medic's rework with this ray gun. But that being said, the Stranded Medic only has a normal pistol. It doesn't have a ray gun. So I'd actually argue that it's not likely that the medic is going to get a ray gun. It probably will just get a regular pistol. Not a syringe pistol or stuff like that, but a regular pistol. I also think that the medic may not have a ray gun ability. I mean, for the medic right now, the only thing that's kind of ray-ish is the max level medic, where its angel thing, its angel wand, it shoots out beams and lasers. Not entirely sure if the medic is going to get that, especially with the leaks of the medic, that apart from maybe level 5, assuming this is level 5, it doesn't even look that out of this world anymore. It kind of looks within this world, and I think maybe the art direction of Tower Defense Simulator would want the medic to be within this world and not out of this world. As for what the medic rework is going to look like, who knows? Maybe the developers will change the statistics of the healing of the medic, because currently right now it's broken. And also with a skill that now does it, I don't think the medic will have this ability anymore, and I don't think many people are using the medic's ability because of that. In fact, many people are annoyed by the medic's ability because of the hidden wave. Yeah, it messed up a lot of hidden wave runs. I do indeed think that the medic will keep its ability where it's able to unstun towers. However, I think they may expand it and fix it so that it can also cleanse towers from their debuffs.